Okay, hold up. Okay, before I get started, I gotta share something with you that is really important. On last week's episode of Wonderhole, Rhett made a reference / gave a little bit of a shout out to 21 Pilots. Soon after, both the fans of 21 Pilots and the Mythical Beasts, who are also fans of 21 Pilots, were losing it. Both on the internet and off the internet, it was wild. But wait, it gets better. Lily, who is Link's daughter, posted this on Twitter, or X, whatever you call it, and said, "Listen, I'm not saying the TOP reference in Wonderhole was my doing, but 21 Pilots, I can definitely get y'all on GMM." And guess what happened? The official videographer for 21 Pilots replied back and said, "That could be really great." And Lily replied, "Hey, let's make it happen." I did say that if 21 Pilots was on Good Mythical Morning, they would totally break the internet. But we could possibly see that collaboration sooner than we think.
What?
Yeah. Yes, people, that actually happened. And we all know what just happened. The newest and last episode of Wonderhole just premiered. And wow. And I know you're already catching on that I usually clap before I say we have a lot to talk about, but this is episode 6, the last one. I gotta clap 6 times. I hope that's 6. I lost count. We got a lot to talk about.
It's a simulation. You believe it, man?
What's up, everyone? My name is Rapha Conrad, also known as RandomRapha, and I am your host for Wandering and Wandering Through the Wonderhole, the show that we discuss, react, and share our predictions / theories about Rhett newest show, Wonderhole. We made it, people. We made it to the last episode of Wonderhole. Episode 6 / last episode. I know I said that before, but I am very happy to say that the episode that we all just watched, hopefully you watched it. I mean, like I said last week, please watch the episode, the entire series, before you watch this post-show series, which I said last week. But if you did watch it and you watched the entire series, congratulations. And if you watched my series, my post-show series, I greatly appreciate you. This is, like I said, this is a new venture for me to share something that I love, and without any interruption. Well, there are some interruptions, but like just trying to speak from my heart, speak from my mind, even if I have some likes or ifs or so's, all the jazz hands, you know what I'm talking about. But just having an unedited, unfiltered, and kind of off-the-wall discussion about this series. I greatly appreciate that. But it's time to get started with the analysis of episode 6 of Wonderhole, which I kind of got off a little bit because I got a little bit emotional. If you know me, I'm very emotional, but I kind of got off track about saying that this is not the last episode of the entire series. No, it is not the series finale. As confirmed by Rhett on the Mythical Society, which I've said this a lot of times in this series. And if you are not part of the Mythical Society, and if you're fully devoted, fully supportive Mythical Beast like me, please join. It is totally worth it. As I was saying, they have confirmed in a recent AMA on the Mythical Society that there is going to be a season 2 of Wonderhole, and they're already working on it as we speak right now. Well, they're not working on it right now because by the time I'm filming this, they're actually in New York City for Global Citizen Festival, and they are introducing Post Malone. See, I told you it's unfiltered, people. But, I mean, yay, we're going to get a season 2, but we're probably going to get a little bit later, like possibly another year from now for season 2. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about episode 6 of Wonderhole season 1. So I said, and we all know, that in the idea for this series was tackling the typical niches or genres that you would see on YouTube, like traveling in an expensive plane, or being in a room, or eating something that is like a different color, one certain color for 24 hours, doing science experiments, and what was the other genre? Time capsule, and of course doing like I've seen a lot on YouTube videos these days, which I probably may talk about it separate from the series about why are we seeing a lot of scripted content like a series on YouTube than we usually see on TV, but that's for another video for another time. So for this one, the last episode, we've all seen this, hopefully we've seen this, these challenges where they make giant sized food, particularly gummy food. Like I just saw a video about making a 68-pound gummy worm or a gummy pizza, if you know what I'm talking about. So they decided, and I figured this out right away during my reaction video to their trailer, was making gummy versions of themselves, which I was correct. And then there was something connected with that, thinking maybe they're going to incorporate something for them to going back to North Carolina. And I said they're going to do some bad boy things, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. Which, just a reminder, please keep watching this video because I have a little big announcement to share. So, we see that they're going to make a life-size versions of themselves in gummy form. And this, again, it feels kind of like old school GMM videos where, I don't know why I put down in my notes, by the way, I have my notes right here in this phone. Oh, and some of you have been asking what's your phone case. So you can see it right here. Customized Rhett link frame right here. Shout out to Custom Envy, not a sponsor yet. But I put down in my notes, the first thing that came to mind was the episode in the longer version of GMM where they cook, and this was before Mythical Kitchen existed. They cooked these dishes, I think it was right before they started fancy fast food on Mythical Kitchen, and Josh was just starting working with Mythical, where it's Rhett, Link, and Josh making fancy versions of foods back then in the regular kitchen, not the Mythical Kitchen. So, and we see just the chaos, but the joy of them cooking their own delicacies, culinary delights in the Mythical Kitchen. Not, how would I say this? I don't want to be confused with Mythical Kitchen like you see on the channel, but like Mythical's office kitchen. Let's put it that way. But it just kind of reminded me of that. And I was so impressed with the faces. And especially we've probably seen how like they get those molds, because I was thinking for like getting the faces for that, if you are familiar with using the paper mache thing where they cast your face, kind of like, you know, if you're making a homemade piñata, you get a balloon, you get like some, all the things that you need to put together your homemade piñata. And that's the same way if you create a face mask or something like that, especially, you know, using it for, whether it's for medical reasons or maybe for the arts, like, you know, creating masks, hats, all that good stuff. But I was thinking about they were going to do something like, but the technology has advanced so much, especially where you can just like get a camera and you make a 3D print of their face in gummy form. And this makes sense why, if you go to their store, mythical.com, not a sponsor yet, there is a special mold where you can create your Rhett and Link ice cubes, or maybe gummies, for example. I can see a little bit of a connection right there, but these little trays where you can just create your own Rhett and Link ice or gummies, maybe popsicle. I'm not sure if, please, if anyone has this, please clarify. Have you made like any gummy version, or maybe just thinking it. Cake Pops, but in Rhett link form? I haven't bought it yet, but who knows, maybe. Should I buy it? I mean, time is money. Money is precious. Money doesn't grow on trees. And I need to save my money on some things, like, I'm doing a documentary film, projectmythicalbeastsfilm.com, or click the link in the description down below. But has anyone ever done that? But, as I was saying, it was really cool just to see the connection of like, oh, they have it at mythical.com and you see it on the show making giant life-size version in jelly form. But the face, like, it's so cool, like, how they're able to put it together. And of course, you're in love, yes, I'm in love. I'm in love with myself. But you're just in love with Rhett Link's joy, and especially their friendship of making it those life-size gummies. But then, as they put it, like, in the cooling phase and in this trailer, which I didn't know those existed. Yeah, I was years old, that there are some trailers where you can keep things cool. So, yeah. So, and now we go into The Office, which we're already catching the idea that there is a documentary vlog style and then subtly go into that scripted style. But I feel kind of like instead of like vlog and then scripted, or it can be like vlog, scripted. I felt like it was more vlog, scripted, vlog, and then just a bit, teensy with a bit of scripted. So if that didn't make sense, I'm sorry, but not sorry. So we hear them talking about what we can do with these gummies, and they're coming up with these ideas of maybe feasting on them, giving it to the birds or like something like that, and they're just thinking about, crash test dummies, but in gummy form. And they were talking about the time Halloween night when they were back in North Carolina, and they were young and foolish back then, of driving around the red truck, throwing eggs at homes and neighborhoods, and the crash, which they have talked about in a few episodes of Good Mythical Morning and on Ear Biscuits, a few of them actually. So they thought, maybe we'll go to North Carolina to do this. But then, as the excitement brews of, okay, let's see if these jelly version of ourselves have already formed correctly. And we see that one of them is ruined, and the other is still intact and trying to get them out. And I saw this on TJ, who is the producer, one of the head producers for the series, and he's also done the producing stuff for the Rhett Link videos they did in 2023. And of course, he was the head producer for a series that Rhett Link did for Food Network called Inside Eats, which that's how TJ ended up working with Rhett Link, just in case you didn't know. But I saw something on his story before the episode premiered. They said he got a scar during filming of this. And I thought, what type of scar? So he cut his finger and was bleeding while they were trying to get the gummy Rhett, let's just say that, the gummy version of Rhett out. And like, so that's how it happened. So they took that out, but poor Link, and I'm talking about Gummy Link, was just small and but remaining right there. I mean, it's still intact. And Link said, we're not going to North Carolina. He says, we're still doing it. And then title card right there, we see the red truck. And the red truck is the main topic. Well, kind of, but like it's still like the symbolic focal point in this series. And we're traveled back to North Carolina, which we saw them in North Carolina in episode, is it 4? Yeah, episode 4, the one where they were trying to cut down the tree with an axe or hatchets with peanut butter. And of course, the Squirrels musicals, go check that out. And we see a little bit more in North Carolina, and I'm going off a little subject right here, because if you've been to Raleigh, North Carolina, or that part of like the Research Triangle area, please go visit Raleigh and any of the areas right there. And if you're the lucky ones that has traveled south a little bit, just about like an hour, I say about an hour drive depending on traffic, to Bowie's Creek. you will be amazed. And in fact, when I was watching in the episode of them being back in North Carolina, you see just the cityscape of Raleigh, which I posted some pictures on my Instagram. And of course, Raleigh's going to be featured in the documentary film for the community. I saw that, and there's just something about when you see a place that you've been to, no matter how many times, it just holds like a place in your heart of like, I was there. But then seeing the place that you've been to, that was, I would probably say, I don't want to say dominate, but like where your heroes that you look up to visited before, that makes it even special. We see them in the hotel room. And of course, it's a better version of themselves in jelly form, but they just look like a general size of like, maybe it is Gummy, but I don't think it's like the actual Gummy. Maybe it's some type of a clear form of it. Anyway, and then of course the facial versions of themselves in Gummy form they put on there, and of course, they're, you just can't help but to love Rhett Link just being themselves, especially being like, middle-aged man-children doing things of like punching the Gummy versions, pimp slapping them and all that, and Link trying to put the face on the, his Gummy face on the Gummy body, and then you just see like the skewers in there, and just like, we all know he doesn't do well with sharp things, duh, but I kind of had a moment of like, please, Link, do not. Just don't. But of course, they left the hotel room to go to their destination where the crash site was. We now, and especially for those that don't know what the red truck is, they showed the video, which if you watch the video version of Ear Biscuits, where he mentioned about the red truck and just showing it as all brand new. I think it was his Christmas present that he got in, I think it was 2022 that he got it. And then he taught his kids how to drive, especially for like cars that were built in the 1990s. Yeah, they're very different, just like you know about that. But we all see that, and even though like I kind of knew that the red truck was going to be a focal point in this, but then with the music and the presentation, we just felt like that. Oh, this is so sweet. And then we see the red truck today, just revisit it and trying to make it work with a rake. I mean, like I know what it's like to have an old car. I mean, I'm not driving an old car, but I know one of my first cars was an old car, and I know what it's like to take care of and keep it intact. But just seeing them in the red truck, and they're basically going to recreate the crash of what happened in when they were, what they did back in Halloween in like, I think it was 92. Yeah, it was 92. Or is it? Yeah, 92. So correct me if I'm wrong. So we see that just like getting all excited, like, oh, we're going to recreate this crash with the Gummy version ourselves and the inflatable dolls and that one green alien right there. And they, as soon as that they arrived at the site, they didn't perform it, but they threw the inflatable dummies, dolls on the road of where it actually happened. And you hear them talking about their story behind it, and then lo and behold, one of the guys that was at the crash, that was there during the crash, and he was there, he showed up, and he shared his own perspective about what happened, especially with the scar behind it. And as soon as you hear that, Link, he mentioned a little bit, but I can already tell, like, oh gosh, because he is a very emotional person, and in a good way. There's some strengths and weaknesses in being emotional, which is not a problem. Don't be afraid of being emotional, which I have to tell myself every single time. But you can already tell he was feeling that remorse, that regret of what happened that night. I mean, like, even though that he didn't go through all of it, of like what everyone in the that happened to everyone during the crash, but just feeling the guilt of seeing them hurt, and then of course the meeting up with the pastor, which they met a little bit later in the episode. But you could just felt his shame through the episode. And even though that sometimes when we watch during this series that we think, oh, is this fake or is this real? But you can definitely tell that this was real, how much you felt his pain of that night that happened. And of course, I felt like it was very, it's very strange that, just revisit as not just doing it for fun, but also kind of like the same thing with the tree cutting episode, the episode for Ben, where they were just like doing something in honor of Ben, but also just talk it out, do it as a way to just let it go and then move on. There's just like something that for both Rhett and Link to do where, yes, doing something creative and crazy with the Gummy versions themselves, but also just revisiting their past and then just like put a period on it to let it be and move on. Well, when they went to meet the pastor, which they met up with, kind of got in trouble with, which was very scary for them, especially when Rhett and Link were very, very young. And I admired their conversation with the pastor and of course, good sense of humor for the pastor. And as soon as that Link apologized and then he asked the pastor for advice on what you do, and just like I just said, just basically, face it and then just do it and then move on. And when they go outside the church and there's the red truck, which I have to say, you'll see in the documentary film. I have passed by that church and it is going to be in the documentary film. So, but we see three of them, Rhett, Link, and the pastor, with the red truck with the dummies and the jellied Rhett and Link. And because they said during the conversation in the church was, have you egg something? And of course the pastor said he has. So they thought it was a great way for him to do, just as put a period on it by throwing an egg at a truck. And I never done stuff like that because I was a very shy girl that never done crazy things like that. But we already, and I said a little bit in the beginning of this video, and I said in my prediction and the trailer for Wonderhole, I already figured that they were going to do some bad boy stuff that they wouldn't do, but the truck thing, with the crash and the egging, I mean, that is considered a bad boy thing they've done, but it was more of revisiting them and experimenting what they're going to do. So we already get the idea of like, okay, they're actually going to recreate the crash. Although because this is both mix of documentary and vlog, mixed with scripted content, as someone who knows is doing a documentary film, things that can go sideways, but the joys of documentary film, it's happening and you got to show it. When they found out that they cannot recreate the crash in their city, they thought something that I did not see coming. Now, whether if you are just introduced to Rhett and Link, or you've known Rhett and Link, have seen their content for years, especially with the red truck, for me, I never thought that they would do this. When Link was talking about seeing his red truck again, he thought about the good things of like the memories, and especially the expectation of teaching his grandkids how to drive the red truck. But then you see that side of him like, I got to just make things right. And he said, go through the consequences that, he should have gone through. And especially, with him crashing, and he was the one that kind of survived that, but just seeing everyone hurt. And like I said, you felt his shame, you felt his guilt, but you see him just saying, I got to make things right. I did not expect this to happen. I think we did not expect for this to happen. So they went to the place where they demolish cars, especially for those that cannot work, which I know what it's like when you're losing a car, especially when it doesn't work, and it's just like gone. I mean, we're seeing it happen, and confirmation what I saw on the Wonderhole channel on the Mythical Society on Discord, it really happened. They crushed the red truck, and I mean, I cried. I cried in 2 episodes of this series so far. But why is it always the even number episodes? I mean, I cried in episode 2. I cried in episode 4. I cried in episode 6. Coincidence? I don't know. But you felt their pain. All the memories that were left in that red truck, and even the expectations of, seeing that, like, what you can see for the red truck in the near future, gone. But I can see, and going back to with the same thing with Ben, and that's the same way with the futuristic episode. I mean, sacrifice and just moving on. Again, what's with the even number episodes? Episode 2, 4, and 6, and then we get the humorous ones on 1, 3, and 5. Anyway, that's just a thing that I just noticed. It didn't hit me until this morning when I was watching this episode again. But you see that, and it's just, goodbyes are tough. But, life is too short. And we see that truck, even though we want to hold on to it much longer, and of course, it doesn't work very well. I mean, you have to use a rake to make it work again. It's time to let it go, and just seeing the real process of seeing the red truck being demolished, and the reactions from just going back from the truck being demolished, and you see Link's stone cold face just not reacting, just like heartbroken, and then Rhett reacting just like, ooh, what's that? It's crushing. I mean, like, it was heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, and my mind was just all over the place. I'm like, they're actually doing this. And even though that I think they knew ahead that it was going to happen, but they did not, I truly believe they did not expect to be this emotional happen, especially for Link, I heart you, Link. But you see that, and we think that there was going to be like a happy ending, and move on and go back to California. I mean, the first thing in the beginning, we thought, oh, they're going to do something with the gummies, but it turned into a different story, a different, not genre, but just like a different narrative at the end. Like, lots of like a moral behind it. I mean, and we probably see like a head off into the sunset moment right there. But how am I going to say this? I mean, it like we see Link for there, and then I kind of see like his eyes getting darker for a moment, and then zoom in, and I'm shaking right now, because like I'm like, it would seem like all of it makes sense. And I said this in the first episode of my series, that I said I thought there was going to be like a connecting story, or I said, I thought they were going to go to a hole and go into another universe, another world, or something like that. And I already determined after the ending of episode 1, like, okay, so there's no connection with it. I could have known, based after the first episode near the end with the tree. I mean, the only thing I noticed was the red truck, and I said it before, and I could have kept on with this theory. And some of the mythical beasts, even for those in the Mythical Society and Reddit, has said this. They noticed the red truck, but other things on it, and they said, what if there's like a continuation, something with those things on the tree relating to something in the series? Each part that was on the tree was featured in the title cards of each episode. I mean, and I have to give a shout out to Nova Kane 96, who is the keeper of all like mythical information and also runs searchicality.com. Your genius, Novocaine96. But those little things in the beginning of the title cards, the coconut, which was featured in episode 1, which was used as a camera. Episode 2, the box, which I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind a little bit. So we see the sequence of Link going through a review, basically a recap of what happened since episode 1. We see them about to crash, and we finally see, because after the crash in episode 1, we already see 3 years of time them being on an island. But this one, we saw them, what happened after the crash. And we see that. And then the next sequence, we see the time capsule, which is a box with a seashell on top. And they showed the seashell on the tree. And then the third, we see the pipe, the noodle, plastic noodle, which is, sucking on a cloud. And we see them sucking on something with that same thing. I don't know what it was. I think it was a tree or some type of water. I have to look at, but it was so fast. And then the fourth title card, you see the jar of peanut butter, which they found the jar of peanut butter with the the peanut butter lover song. But the jar of peanut butter in the fourth title card, and you see them using that jar of peanut butter chopping down the tree, which that is an interesting connection of the peanut brittle axe chopping down the tree and it failed, and then the jar of peanut butter trying to chop down the tree with it. And the fifth title card, you see the trash bag, which problem solved. We all know what happened, which I said last week's episode. Why is there a trash bag in the beginning of the title card for episode 5? Because after they showed the scene from the red and blue room and they showed what were they actually filming, they were wearing trash bags. Rhett was on the island, was wearing a red trash bag. Link was wearing a blue trash bag. Makes sense! And then the final, we all know, we didn't show it right there, but we already see what happened. We all concluded what is the red truck. Because you see Link on the island and you hear, Rhett, are you catching this? And Rhett is demolishing the red truck. And we don't see it, but we assume that there are gummy bears or gummies inside the truck. We just witnessed of something that we could see, we've seen in the episodes, but they were actually filming. They're using their imagination displayed on the screen, but you're seeing the reality of what they have filmed while they're on the island. Even me just talking about it, I mean, yeah, this is real. I'm not putting this up because, how can you put together something where it's almost kind of reminding me of you've seen commercials in TV shows or where the kids are going, they're into this imaginative world and then they're playing pretend. They're going back to this pretend-like thing. Or, I don't know, some people call it, they're hallucinating and all that stuff. But they're just using their imagination. They're playing this, the role of having fun, but they're doing it in a way is this is what they're filming and this is what it looks like to us when they film it, And then, of course, Rhett said, I think this is it, and that's a wrap. Titles, in which I think it's very genius to because in every single episode, episodes 1 through 5, they did not show the credits, they just showed a sneak peek of what comes next, but then they end this episode. I mean, obviously it's the last episode, but they show all the credits, which confirmation. Remember I kept saying about when they write stuff, I mean, obviously for the vlogging, the documentary stuff, I mean, it's unscripted, but it's an outline. And I said in last week's episode about they have a dialogue, but they have a script? Well, usually that when you do scripted content, it will say, screenplay and all that. But it said story and dialogue, which were done by Rhett, Link, Stevie, and TJ. It's a dialogue. So that makes me think, going back to my other idea of you have the story, but then when you have the dialogue, do you just have it, write it down, and then you practice it, or like a script? Or do you say it enough of like, you know, what you have an idea, kind of like what I would do with my videos. Like, I don't write it down, I speak it and then I practice it, and then it will be presented in a way and scripted. I mean, I don't know. If that doesn't make sense, it'll just think about it a little bit right there. Let it simmer a little bit. But very good of having the credits at the end of episode 6. And in that way, I think they've had the intention of, like, even though it's a series that if someone was going to binge watch it, which there are some people that don't watch the episode when it premieres and they waited until all the episodes premieres, which very common if you watch like on Netflix or Hulu, whatever it is, and YouTube, they would have like all the episodes in one playlist and you can watch it all at once, as if you're watching a movie and you ended episode 6, the last episode, with the credits. Makes sense. So yeah, they made it in a way where it was like a movie. So I know that's kind of just like, oh, duh, Rapha, you should know that. I'm like, but no, there's nothing wrong with being curious. I mean, curiosity is one of the main 3 in the trilogy, the trinity of mythicality. So yeah, my fandom, my fangirl is starting to show up. I mean, yeah, woo. But I still cannot believe that they have successfully wrapped up the first season of Wonderhole. But I kind of felt like, you know, and someone has said this, a few people actually, they thought that Wonderhole was kind of like season 2 of the videos that they done last year on their channel in 2023. But here's what I think. I don't think anyone has said this before. So you hear it here first, people. I personally felt like this season of Wonderhole, season 1 of Wonderhole, is like Buddy System season 3. Now, hold on, work with me here for a sec. So, if you have not seen Buddy System season 1 or 2, please go check that out first of all. If you watch season 1 of Buddy System, we see them as if they're like a twisted, scripted version of like them going to them, like their lives is hosting Good Mythical Morning and dealing with a situation where it's like, what happens if someone, like probably their ex-girlfriend, hacked into their channel and doing all these stuff, and then it resolutes to them going life as normal, life as usual. That's scripted. And then season 2 is for them in a different universe where Rhett and Link are not hosts of Good Mythical Morning. They don't know each other. They have a different lifestyle. And of course, it's kind of weird that Rhett has long hair in this, and that was done like 2 years before he started growing his hair out. But we see them in a different universe, and of course, different situations and very odd things that happened during season 2. But I personally think that this feels like Wonderhole season 1 feels like Buddy System season 3, because they have talked about the multiverse theory about, like, you know, and of course we all have this fascination of the multiverse, and, you know, or theories of like parallel universes. I mean, we see that in sci-fi movies, and even scientists have talked about that a lot. And of course, like, I wish they brought this back on Good Mythical Morning, the alternative snacks. I know I can understand that, but it would be great if they did something like that on Good Mythical Morning. Again, you know, if you're watching this Mythical, please and thank you. But the reason why I say that is, what if it was a different universe of, you know, for Rhett and Link? What if the other universe for Rhett and Link is they host Good Mythical Morning, but they end up on an island? Which, as I'm thinking about it right now, they have said in Ear Biscuits of, you know, and even people ask them, if you were stuck on an island, what would you do? And I think they just want to incorporate that into that. Oh, and they did an episode of, if you had to bring one mythical crew to an island, who would it be? What would you do? But I think for this universe, you know, Wonderhole season 1, aka Buddy System season 3, this universe for Rhett and Link, that they host it, but things go haywire, and then they end up on the island, and they are host of their own mythical morning on an island. So it's a parallel universe. And also, and there's a quote from season 1 of Buddy System where they say the magic is real. And of course, we all know because of there's movie magic, and then when episode 1, when they put together the fake flight simulator for the expensive flight, everything all set, but I kind of believe that the magic was real and somehow it actually happened. Again, the power of imagination, of course, and the magic is real, so I kind of just believe that in that parallel universe, Rhett ended up on an island and the magic is real. Although it kind of feels like it would be like season 1, but it's just something to think about. I mean, I hope I'm not the only one that thinks about this, but if you kind of feel like that Wonderhole is almost like Buddy System Season 3, comment down below and share your probably a little bit more specific details of what I shared. So, I mean, that's why I'm called RandomRapha. But, whew, wow, that was a whirlwind. And, yeah, and then, of course, I don't want to end this. And I don't want to end this discussion. I want to keep on talking. And I don't want to end this series. But I do want to say this, and I'll say it here. This is not going to be the last episode of Wandering Through the Wonderhole. No, I am going to premiere a bonus episode next week. And just to be brief about it, it's not going to be like, oh, what's the best episode? I mean, I'll give a little brief analysis on which one and share my thoughts about the overall general idea of the series and maybe some predictions for season 2 and maybe some ideas. Maybe, who knows? But this is a good reason why you should subscribe to the channel and click on the bell so you can be a lookout for this bonus episode. And I am going to work on this survey for you watching this video that you can participate in sharing your thoughts about the series in general, and of course, do a little bit of a ranking on which one is your favorite episode, and you can give your thoughts about it. So be on the lookout here on this video, and I think I've already posted the video, the link to the survey. If not, I'll post it on my Twitter and Instagram at Rapha Conrad. All right, well, gotta end this right here because I think it is, it's almost time, oh gosh, and the Global Citizen Festival is about to start. But before I conclude this video, last week I did a little bit of a contest to see who was going to win a one-time quarterly membership to the third degree membership of the Mythical Society. And to those that have liked, subscribed, commented in last week's video, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank you for enjoying my videos. But the time has come that I announce the winner of the one-time quarterly third degree membership in the Mythical Society is... Congrats on winning the quarterly, how do I say this? Just for winning this giveaway right here. Don't worry, there's going to be a lot more of these special opportunities, giveaways that I'm going to do here on my YouTube channel a little bit more often, but I'll usually do it on my other social media platforms. So, man, how am I going to end this? I mean, seriously, it has been such a pleasure just doing this. I mean, I know I have next week's episode, but just realizing how much fun I have just sharing my thoughts, my random thoughts that sometimes don't make any sense, but somehow they make sense. And just be able to watch this series, the Rhett series, Wonderhole, and knowing that they're going to do a second season, which I'll talk about, the overall general perspective about the series in next week's episode. But I am so proud of Rhett and the Mythical crew, which go check out the credits on who participated. And as someone who is a creative myself, and I've probably said this a lot and I've posted this on my social media, they really inspired me to just keep on creating stuff no matter what it is. And I mean, sometimes people may not get it the first time, but it takes time. Just like, for example, a movie that was probably like not the best, but there's something about time. I mean, it gets better over time, and sometimes the ones that were not great back then, but they can become an ultimate classic in the future. I do believe like this one is just the series, and I don't want to give it away because I want to save it for next week's episode. But this is just a way to inspire creatives and bring a little bit of joy and probably some humor that, I'm not just saying like, oh, it's like the same old humor, but but in the mix of some things that never be seen or never been done before. And I applaud Rhett Lincoln, everyone at Mythical who has worked on this series for that. And again, thank you for listening to and watching my reactions to this series of Wonderhole. I will see you next week. If you like this video, click that like button. It really does wonders. Also, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and click on that bell so you'll be on the lookout for next week's episode and lots of more content premiering very soon. And if you want even more content created by yours truly, make sure you follow me on Instagram and in Twitter or X at Rapha Conrad. And plus, I'll be sharing more updates on special giveaways as well. Okay. Focus. Man, I mean, I'm just, and of course I'm going off a little bit right here, but I know I said I've had so much fun, but I'm not sure if you can see it, but I feel it as well. I feel like I've grown so much ever since I've been becoming more consistent in these videos, and I don't want to stop doing this. I know I'm going to do it next week, but this was really fun to do, and can't wait to do it again next week, and I can't wait to keep this momentum up. And yeah, okay, I'm going to cry right now. I gotta watch this Global Citizen Festival and get ready for another video very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Rapha Conrad, also known as RandomRapha, and I will see you next week. But in the meantime, keep on wondering and wondering, and when in doubt, just hands it out. Bye!
Your stirring is weird. Do more aggressive with one hand.
My middle name is Aggressive.
Don't enjoy it too much. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was really, really aggressive, bro.
Remember earlier you told me to be more aggressive.